Hello there, I'm here to talk about a heavy subject that most like to ignore because of how personal and deep it can be to us anyway. I'm of course talking about the case about depression and the different kinds of problems it can make to all of us. Well, some people think it's not a good idea for me to talk about this subject because of how um, deep and personal it can be. I feel like it's a big problem that not a lot of people like to throw under the rug a lot. Thousands of people in the world have in some way a case of depression. These all are different types of how big or how small they can be. They all focus on the mentality of those diagnosed. It really doesn't have a true cure or medicine to help it, take it away. I'm going to help explain about how it affects a person that is diagnosed with depression, the loved ones or those around them, different types of problems it can cause, and what it does, and how to help treat it somewhat. The definition of depression is the mentality of sadness and anger with dark and self-harming thoughts. While each one is different in their own right, they all almost come out with the same type of outcome or thought. And while these thoughts can be only small, to where they barely happen once in a blue moon, to where they're big enough to where they can cause physical harm to the person. Depression can really affect how you eat, sleep, do daily activities, work life, and even how you interact with others, including loved ones. There's a lot of cases about it. I'm going to talk about how one, woman named Dior Vargas, an example of someone who suffers a terrible case of depression because of a sad childhood and a violent home. Around the age of 11, she tried something that no one should try. I'm not going to talk about it, but luckily she was unsuccessful and managed to turn her life around because of it. Well, she did make a terrible choice, to which could have hurt and could have very well made hurt a lot of people, including herself. She was able to use it to help change her life for the better. And I I know all of us have can have rough times in our lives. That's just sometimes how life is, but it just depends on how our response and how we can deal with it. And then depression just doesn't affect those who have it, but also those around it. Like it can affect how you want to hang out with them or all that. And then it's very hard to say, like, if you want to, like, someone that cares about a person with it, they want to help them, but they don't know the right approach with it. Like, if they try ask too many questions, the person with the depression could act resourceful or anger to them. And though if you don't ask enough questions, it could make their life go downhill and harder for them. In some ways, to help them is by taking them to a professional, and you or him or her sitting down and talking to the professional in different ways to solve it, and making sure they get the right medication for it and all that, and getting all the help they need. There are different well, there are many steps in depression, each one more different and more harming than the last. Like the first stage of persistent sadness is basically when the mind and body just feels in just filled with negative emotions and thoughts of basically saying how you're worthless or all that. And then irritability and isolation is another step. Irritability is when people that you usually hang out with start to feel the negative emotions and energy around you and start want to spend less time with you because of it. And isolation is when you want to spend less time with others and want to stay alone all the time. And then loss of energy is when you start getting affected physically, when you start wanting to do less activities like going to work, getting up, exercising, everything. You start to lose interest in it and start to feel out of breath of doing anything at all. And then the loss of appetite and change of body can be fatal if not checked. It's when someone starts to eat less or not at all, skipping meals, to where the body starts to lose all the protein and fat it needs in their body, to where if left unchecked, it can kill someone. Finally, the scariest stage of them all is called suicidal tendencies. It just shows, in my opinion, how broken a mind can be if he or she wants to take their own life away because of it. They think that's the only solution in their problems, when 10 times out of 10 it really isn't. And while we all wish there was a way to cure it or to take it away, there's not really a answer to taking away like a disease. It's more like trying to find the right blockade or something to stop it. And then, well, depression is a big problem that needs help to be solved or or being held back, per se. It's not really being pushed as to as big of a problem as it is. Well, there are other problems in the world that are being pushed further than it is, and some of them are not as big as it is. Well, I'm not saying we should have all of our attention on it. I am saying we should at least put more attention on it, like making medicine and therapy payable, because most of it is a lot more than people can pay for. That's why they're not using it. Well, I'm not. I know my speech isn't what people want to listen to. I just wanted to show that sometimes that it's not all just black and white in the world. There's some issues that need to be solved. I hope I didn't offend any of you all in this speech. I just wanted to throw my case out there about it. I hope that you listened and help show ways to help depression. Thank you for listening to my speech. Goodbye.